Alright, all you risk takers and backbreakers out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And I got a feeling saying the word back that many times has me to believe that someone's gonna get their spine ruptured, so I think it's time for us to waste no time and see who in the world is gonna end up as a paraplegic by the end of this clip for another edition of the Wild World of Stunts. And the first stunt that we have up comes from none other than Polo Nick, nice name by the way, with their stunt, Fab. And I got a feeling it's short for fabulous on how beautiful this little display of aerial activation was that features him actually doing a reverse corkscrew after stalling the jet out, only for him to go into full Top Gun mode and pull off a near miss into a loop-de-loop with his partner Steve for them to not only miss on the ground but in the air as well, and to fly in two separate directions with not only a white but a blue smoke trail that the maestro said he would have gave him bonus points if he had added a third plane in there with red smoke. Yeah, for red, white, and blue. But would that be America or France, depending on the positioning, right? Right, yeah, I'm just saying. Well, before we try to figure that out, folks, the next stunt that we have up comes from the stunner A. Rogers 8960 with their said stunt, GTA Epic Movie. And during this epic movie, he was able to provide us with some B-roll footage during the high-impact action scene, which involves the Stromberg doing its deadly dive to the bottom of the ocean. And during that said stunt, it would feature the car doing not one, not two, not three, but 4 barrel rolls as it spiraled its way right down into the lake located right next to Mount Chiliad for it to scrape the bottom of the car onto a couple of rocks and surface back up with no problem. And if you're wondering, the guy who was behind the wheel was the cousin of Ricky the Raccoon, who was able to pull off this beautiful stunt for the movie. Man, I can't wait to see what the whole movie's gonna be about with how cool that stunt was. And according to the doctors in the PR department who are currently on standby, they give it a 10, along with the maestro. And so will I. And the next stunt that we have up comes from the stunner Jartner 67 with their said stunt, Project 9 Double G. And during this said stunt, and I got a feeling Jartner here tried to bring the Flying Elvises to Los Santos, only to realize that he really needs to learn the, timing of him trying to jump out of a plane to become a Flying Elvis. Because while him and his friends jumped out of the plane to land on the top of the Diamond Casino Resort, unfortunately, a couple of untimed jumps and a miscue would lead to at least 2 of them landing in the jacuzzi, breaking their legs, and their names have not been released for their protection. And of course, Jartner here almost breaking his jaw on the side of a canopy when he hit the ground. As a matter of fact, according to what the doctor said, yeah, he broke it alright, he fractured it. Or did he fracture or did he break it? Oh, he broke it, then he fractured it. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. No, wait, he fractured it, then he broke it, right? Oh, according to the doctors, that's exactly what happened, and not to mention, if he didn't wear that helmet, he would have most likely killed himself with that impact. But it looked like he made a soft landing on the ground. How is that possible? Oh, the sheer wind force of it all, right. I don't get it. Either way, he's in a terrible amount of pain, folks. And the next stunt that we have up, comes from Mucha86, nice name by the way, with their said stunt, Moto Madness. And the reason why we said it like that, folks, because Mucha here was able to get us footage from the 4th annual Grand Sonora Desert Moto Madness Tour, and they were filming the final events and the highlights from this said year of the Moto Madness. And this year was probably the craziest of them all, because during the final lap of the all off-road tour run, you would see two racers, one going by the name of Kyle and the other one by the name of David, actually running into each other heading toward the final lap on that hairpin turn, for David to actually flip over, land head first on his ATV, nearly cracking his spine in half, and of course Kyle turning into Superman, flying off his bike from that impact over to the other side of the wall and would land on his arm and head first on the ground. Now, medical staff was on standby because they knew how severe this sport usually gets, or at least for that event. And yeah, let's just say once again, Kyle and David, lucky that they wore helmets, because the injuries would have been a lot worse. But so far for David, I do believe he's suffering a jolt in his spine, probably a stinger of sorts from the way he landed on the bike, and of course Kyle, a broken arm and apparently a mild concussion, according to the doctors who were actually at the event. Oh, nice. How was it this year? Was it cool? Yeah, it was cool until that moment popped up, right? Right, yeah, you're right. And the last but not least stunt that we have up for this week comes from the stunner Secured Skills, with a Z by the way, with their said stunt, Project 6. And during this said stunt, I got a feeling the name of the guy who's driving the car is Steve, while the person who's screaming, "Hey, buddy, stop the car, is named Steve. Oh wait, nope, Mikey. Mikey's brother Steve, who tried to stop him from riding the car because the car had bad brakes, only for him to still ride in that car, hit his brother Mikey, and for his brother Mikey to go sailing through the air in slow motion, only for Steve to actually crash into somebody else's car on the side of it all, making it, what, Maestro? A T-bone! For the car to come to a full stop, and for Mikey to land on the other side with a whole bunch of bumps and bruises on his face and a broken pelvis, according to the doctors. Ooh, that had to suck. Oh, and by the way, they also wanted me to tell you fans at home, he also broke his ribs from the impact of the car. Now, if he got wedged in between the car, he wouldn't be able to talk to us today, because he'd be dead. Very, very dead from that. Ugh, especially with the speed of that car. How fast was it going, Maestro? What, 30? In a parking lot, usually it's at 5 or 15. Why was he going so fast in the parking lot? What's wrong with him? And if you guys want to check out any other crazy and zany stunts of people trying to get themselves maimed for completely unnecessary fame, you can go ahead and head on over to the Rockstar Social Club page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, and just head on over to that video page to see which one of these crazy stunners is going to be in the hospital for about 7 hours, depending on how severe their injuries are. And according to the Maestro, that is about 100 years and 7 hours, which is physically impossible unless they have extremely weak bones and could live for 100 years. You know, it's possible with today's technology. I got a feeling they could. Well, at least live for 100 years, not be in the hospital for 100 years and 7 hours. Hey, don't try to ruin my Abraham Lincoln joke. Anyway, folks, with that said, I think it's time for us to head back into this music, and when we return, we'll be back with another action-packed edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week, right after this. So don't touch that dial just yet, folks, and stay tuned.